It's been a year after Kazuha's initial release in Update 1.6, and the new 2.8 update finally gives us the first act of his story quest. This is something that I felt needed for his character ever since the conclusion of Inazuma's Archon quest, so I'm super happy we finally get one now. As such, I'm going to give some thoughts and analysis on it. The premise of the quest starts with a mysterious person with a cursed blade looking for Kazuha, likely with malicious intent. Most people in Inazuma have heard how Kazuha blocked the Shogun's Musou no Hitotachi, and I like that while most people admire Kazuha for this, there are also a few who are jealous and reject it. Back in that scene, Kazuha's friend's masterless vision aided Kazuha against the Shogun's strike, which is also poetic in a way because it's as if Kazuha's friend was also there to withstand the Musou no Hitotachi, which is exactly what he had always wanted. Because of Kazuha's usage of the electro vision, some people falsely believe that Kazuha used a delusion, and thus downplay his feat. This sort of leads into one of two main conflicts of the story quest. Kujo Kamaji of the Tenro Commission has asked to meet with Kazuha, to offer Kazuha the goodwill of the shogunate to help clear and restore the name and honor of the Kaedehara Clan. Whether Kazuha accepts this or not is the question. The other conflict is investigating this mysterious person seeking out Kazuha, because that person could be causing harm to innocent people while looking for Kazuha. While this story quest doesn't particularly have much character development from Kazuha, we see how Kazuha's present characteristics help resolve a conflict that stems from the past, and also setting up his clan's honor for the future. This story quest focuses on how Kazuha uses his own ideals to resolve the conflicts. One of the biggest themes in the story quest revolves around the idea of harmony. The idea of harmony is an essential part to both Kazuha's character as well as the Kaedehara Clan's Isshin art. Harmony is present in so many aspects of Kazuha's character, including his various voice lines, his animal skills, and even his calm and gentle idle animations. He's literally one with nature, where he's even able to figure out surroundings simply off the scent of the wind. Additionally, his surname, Kaedehara, can be translated to tranquility as one's true self. Though he hasn't been involved with the Kaedehara clan, mainly because he's the only remaining descendant, he really embodies the clan's ideals whether he's intentional about them or not. One of the most admirable traits that Kazuha has is his acceptance of his rather unfortunate past, that while he's let go of much of the past, he always remembers it to lead a better life. He truly is an embodiment of harmony. Additionally, we also want to understand how harmony plays into the Kaedehara clan's famous forging art, the Isshin art. As we learned from 2.6's Irodori Festival, the Kaedehara clan used to be part of the Raiden Gokaden, 5 renowned blade forging schools. The Kaedehara clan's art would eventually become known as the Isshin art, focused on complete harmony between blade and mind, emphasizing the bond between the blade and the wielder. For Isshin blades, the blade chooses its wielder. But in the generation of Kazuha's great-grandfather, Kaedehara Yoshinori, the Fatui, namely Scaramouche, tampered one of the shogun's blade diagrams, rendering it impossible for the Kaedehara clan to continue forging, which eventually led to a collapse in both the Kaedehara clan and the Raiden Gokaden. During the Irodori Festival, Ayato devised a plan to let Kazuha figure out the truth of this incident and to see if Kazuha would be accepting of his past, which he was. This leads us to the main antagonist of the story quest, the forged Isshin blade known as Kagotsurube Isshin. We find that he was forged from a previous swordsmith of the Isshin art, Akame Kagenaga. Kagenaga didn't live up to the shogun's expectations and fled to Shineshinaia, where he eventually created this new blade, upset that the Fatui manipulated the Gokaden situation in Inazuma, which led to the downfall of the Isshin art. In his state of atonement, he created this Isshin blade, and this blade latched onto Kagenaga's final will, where he wanted to prove himself to the Raiden shogun. The blade had nothing but this ambition and would pursue it no matter the cost, going from host to host while moving from Shineshinaia to Inazuma. So the blade is here today to confront Kazuha as a proxy to proving itself to the shogun, to proving his creator's ambition. Since Kazuha blocked the Shogun's almighty attack, this blade believes that it can have Kazuha wield it to prove itself to the Shogun. But unfortunately, this Isshin blade has been in a contradictory state since its very creation because of how it dissociates the harmony that Isshin blades are meant to have. For starters, I strongly believe that its creator, Kagenaga, wasn't in the best state of mind when forging this blade. He committed treason in Inazuma and fled to Snezhnaya where he forged this blade. He also felt regret over what happened to the Gokaden in Inazuma and felt that he had to atone for his actions. I can't help but think that this negatively impacted his forging skills, as well as being in a nation quite far from his home. Additionally, both Kagenaga and this blade were both affected by Tatarigami, which is the remaining residue of malice from Orobashi that amplifies the ambitions of those it affects, usually with malicious intent. Kazuha recognizes this just from a short duel with the blade. As someone familiar with Isshin art, Kazuha notes that the blade has no bond nor harmony with its current wielder, Amenoma Yuya, who himself is a fairly skilled swordsman. The blade's judgment is so clouded and fixated by an ambition too big for it. Kazuha sees through this so clearly, and that's why he's willing to make a bet to prove this to the blade, using the blade's own obscured outlook against it, and even exposing himself to the Tatarigami. When Kazuha utilizes the blade against common Ronin, the blade's contradictions are made abundantly clear. Its strength slowly fades away, and it's still trying to match Kazuha's fighting rhythm, to find harmony with Kazuha. So even though it's been boasting against harmony, it naturally wants to find harmony, because it's an Isshin blade itself. All of its actions have been contrary to its very core theme. After a few more fights, the blade finally understands and admits to its regretful behavior, feeling like a failure for not living up to its creator's ambitions. But its final lesson comes full circle back to its own creation. It believes that because it was created to be recognized by the Raiden Shogun, that it has a forced obligation to do so. But everything should have a choice. Kazuha teaches it that there's more to a magnificent blade than just its creation. It's important to develop skills, determination, and desire, especially for Isshin blades where their very core is forming bonds with the wielders they themselves choose. The blade still has regret over failing to keep its promise to its master, but the master is gone now, and I don't think it should be obligated to those that are gone. Everyone should always have the choice to choose the paths they want to follow. After it comes to terms with itself, it makes its own wish for the first time, where it uses all of its remaining power and consciousness to ask Kazuha to reforge the blade, essentially sacrificing itself so that Kazuha can continue the Isshin art that was once lost. Its name is Kagotsurube Isshin, and he gives up himself, being reforged into a new blade for Kazuha, entrusting the future of the Isshin art to Kazuha. I like that despite Kagotsurube's unfortunate circumstances, he finally gets a chance to develop a bond with someone, as is deserving of an Isshin blade. As a final resolution, Kazuha declines Kujo Kamaji's offer so as to not become involved in Inazuman politics. Which makes sense to me because, as we know about his character, Kazuha has always enjoyed a life of wandering, and while he will take on the secrets of the Isshin art, he will do so as he wanders through the other nations, going wherever the wind takes him. While this story quest didn't particularly focus on Kazuha's character development, I still liked how Kazuha involved himself into something concerning his clan. Kagotsurube Isshin is an Isshin blade, but it wasn't created with harmony in mind. So I'm glad that it was Kazuha, who's both a descendant of the Kaedehara Clan and an embodiment of harmony, that got through to Kagotsurube. Kagotsurube didn't form bonds with people when he should have, because of how trapped he felt by the Tatarigami amplifying his creator's ambition. In the end, although he sacrificed his own consciousness to be reforged anew, Kazuha is the one who will use this blade as he journeys through the nations, and they'll have time to develop bonds in harmony with each other, which I think is wonderful for Kagotsurube. An interesting small detail is that this sword that we receive cannot be refined, which makes sense given that no one currently knows the Isshin art. But maybe that'll change as Kazuha learns more about it. So yeah, that wraps up my thoughts with the story quest. I would have liked to see more character development from Kazuha, because ever since we were introduced to him, I felt that his character arc still needs resolution, because he still hasn't received the answers to eternity from A. But that said, I think that this initial story quest does great with adding more setup for future character development for Kazuha. For one, as he travels through other nations, he can see how their gods' ideals play a role in people's lives, and one day he can circle back to Inazuma with a broader mindset for understanding A's eternity for Inazuma. I imagine we should expect to see Kazuha cross paths with Scaramouche, as Scaramouche essentially started this entire conflict that led to the downfall of the Raiden Gokaden. As Ayato hinted to us in the Iridori Festival, we're likely soon to be confronting Scaramouche, especially because now that Kazuha will continue the Isshin art, that could draw out Scaramouche because he sought to destroy it. And if anything, from the recent Fatui interlude chapter video, Scaramouche's disappearance with the Gnosis is brought up by the Harbingers, so I can't help but think that we'll see Scaramouche again as we journey into Sumeru. That said, I'm happy we got an official Kazuha story quest, since he's always been one of my favorite characters. As always, I'm looking forward to more story content with Genshin, and yeah, thank you for watching this. Till next time, take care.